So to work on drawing different kinds of Legos, you're going to want to open your Part Studio that already has your Legos in it and your variable established. If you want to see options to draw different types of Legos, in the example link I gave you to sort different types of Legos, there's a PDF folder that you can open and see different kinds of Legos in the PDF, and the one I'm working on is a 4x4 corner today. So we see it's 4 pegs by 4 pegs, and then it has a 2x2 block there in the middle. And while we don't know some of the exact measurements, we're going to do the best we can as we draw some of these arcs. So they go back to my Part Studio. I'm going to start by creating a sketch on the top plane, like always. I can then view normal. If you don't want to mess this other Lego up or any of the Legos in your Part Studio, I suggest you turn them off by clicking the eyeball so you don't see them anymore. And now I can start by just drawing my shape. So I knew that it started with a square, and the width of that square was going to be 4 brick units long. And in this particular one, I think I called it unit length. Oh, I didn't. I forgot to hit enter. Unit length, enter, or brick unit. I think in my other tutorial I called them brick unit, so it's the same thing. Oh, come on, click and drag the dimension. There we go. Oops. Variable brick unit, or unit length, the one that's 8 millimeters. All right, there we go. And I wanted to make one that was 4 times that size, so I'm going to go ahead back in and change that variable to times 4. And this is a plate, so I'm now going to extrude it. But before I extrude it, I want to actually draw a circular arc here that has the center point of here, so because I'm making a circular shape instead of a round one. So I'm going to draw a center point circle from the bottom left corner of my shape, draw it so that it's tangent to the other side of my shape. And then if I wanted to, I could trim the rest of this, but I don't need to, because when I say extrude, I can just pick the portion I want to extrude, which was 1/4 of a circle. And so my extrusion depth was going to be a plate height. So we can do blind, and depth is going to be our variable plate. All right. Now we can put the pegs on the top. So new sketch on the top. I'm going to draw a peg down here in the bottom corner. Dimension that. Our peg diameter. Then I can dimension how far this edge of the circle is away from the edge of the plate, which was our variable peg height, or wall thickness. They're the same variable. Hashtag wall or peg height. And now I can extrude that. And my depth is going to be peg height or wall thickness, depending on what your variable is labeled. The goal is it's 1.6. All right, so now we have the corner peg. Now I want to, it's not going to work well to linear pattern this whole thing. So I'm going to have to linear pattern it in parts just to get the ones I want. So linear pattern, choose feature. Then that's my previous extrusion. Click in the direction box. I'm going to pattern up first, so I click the parallel line going up. My distance is going to be my variable brick unit or the unit length. And I wanted 4 of these. All right, so I say OK. I'm going to click Apply Per Instance when I do the linear pattern, because that breaks up my linear pattern into individual pieces instead of keeping the linear pattern as one part. And you'll see why I want to do that later. So now I can linear pattern again this direction. Feature pattern, my original peg. Direction is going to be horizontal this time. Oops, let me make sure I don't choose that. Make sure to click in your direction box before you select the horizontal direction. I want my brick unit length, and I wanted 4 of them. Tab to confirm, and then confirm green checkbox. Now, if I say linear pattern again, so this time I'm going to linear pattern again, I'm going to do it slightly different. So linear pattern, and instead of saying feature pattern, I'm going to do what's called a face pattern. Face pattern will allow me to select the faces used to make these pegs instead of the features, because the feature is the linear pattern, and I don't want to pattern all 3, I just want to pattern 2. So select face pattern, face to pattern, I'm going to select the top of both these pegs, and the cylindrical side of both these pegs I want to pattern. Choose my direction, and I'm going to take them horizontally. My distance will of course be brick unit or unit length. And I want to do 3 of them, because I want to do 1 set and then the second set 3 altogether. Tab, and OK, confirm. So now I have the top of that circular piece I'm creating. Now I'm going to turn it over and create the bottom. So I start by putting my sketch on it. I then project my lines from the top I want. So I'm not only going to project the original 3 pegs, I'll need the other pegs over here later on so I can figure out where to extrude cut. So I'm going to say OK. Now I can draw my circle. In the center of these. Make that circle tangent to 3 of the pegs. Now we can see that it worked because it turned black. Now I can draw a circle inside of that. That is peg diameter. Dimension that circle. Variable peg diameter, which is 4.8 millimeters. Now that I have that shape, I'm going to go ahead and shell. So I can close out this sketch. Shell. Pick my surface. Oh, I clicked hole, whoops. Shell. Click the bottom surface. Our thickness will be our peg height or wall thickness. And OK. Now I've almost done my pattern. Now I want to extrude my cylinder. We're going to say add. And instead of doing blind, we said we want to do up to part. And we're going to click the Lego part so the extrusion runs into the Lego part. And if you might need to click merge with all, but usually you don't because it'll merge automatically. All right, and then we have our one circle. So now we can complete the same operation we did before using linear pattern. Found a linear pattern in my previous extrusion, so change from part to feature. Choose my extrusion, change my direction, change my distance, hashtag unit length. I wanted 3 of these going horizontal and 3 going vertical. And again, I'm going to apply per instance in one case so that they're separated a little bit. And say OK. Repeat the operation going down. Linear pattern, feature pattern, or cylindrical extrusion. Choose my direction. Change my distance to the unit length of the Lego. Instance count 3. To do this last one, remember we need to do a face pattern instead of a part. So linear pattern again. This time choose face pattern. Zoom in here. And the faces I'm going to want to choose the top cylindrical face, the inside cylindrical face, and the outside cylindrical face of what I want to pattern. Direction, I want to pattern it vertically down. My distance, of course, will be unit length or brick unit. And I just want 2 because I already have 1. All right. So now we're almost done. We've shelled out the bottom. We've created the circle cylinders on the bottom. We've created the pegs on the top. The last thing we need to do is cut this region here where it will intercept the pegs when stacked on a previous block. So to do that, we're going to create a new sketch on the bottom. And I'm then going to project my 4 circles along one side so I can see where they're going to fall once I linear pattern them. And these are just to figure out where the circles fall in this region here. So we can already see one circle's intercepted here, so we'll have to extrude remove that when we do this process. So once I've created my circles by using project, I now want to pattern those. So I click the pattern tool inside sketch. I select my circles. You can kind of see it doing it now. First, I'm going to change the distance by double-clicking the distance box, and that is going to be our unit length distance. Now I can tab to move to the next box. You can zoom in or out if your box covers it up. I want to double-click and change the number of instances I want from 3 to 4. hit tab again, and I can kind of see where they're going to lay out. And if I like that, I can hit enter, and now I see on my mouse icon that I want to click the left button to confirm. So now I can kind of see where all my Legos are going to fall on my shape. And so now I'm going to use extrude remove and trim any of the outer edge, or let me uncheck what I don't want. You can go in and kind of just click the circles that cross. It won't like that part because it's intersecting that circle we drew originally, so we can unselect it. That one doesn't touch, so we don't have to worry about that. This region here does touch. And it won't let you do the inside because what happens is it's tangent here, and tangent in true math, tangencies don't exist in the real world. So Onshape has a problem with that. So you just go through and select the parts that's crossing this area here. And then we're going to say remove. Now if I turn my view slightly sideways, I don't want to go all the way to my part, through my part. Again, I want to use change it from blind to up to face, and then click the underside face of the Lego. So basically it extrude cuts to the height of a peg. And we say okay. And there we're done our shape. If you want to change the appearance of your shape, you can actually do that by clicking on your part and assigning material, or if we double check our properties, make sure everything looks okay. We can right click on it and say edit appearance, and you can change your color. So there, I think this piece is out of the Star Wars set with Yoda. And so now that we're done, we can turn back on our old part, and now I have two parts in my part feature that can be imported into the temp Lego bin.